Hey, church family, thanks for being with us this morning for our daily devotional. We're talking about honoring life, and as we have looked at the last couple of days at the idea of murder and how anger actually is just as bad as murder, we're going to kind of continue that conversation because certainly, anger, murder, all of these are issues of life. Some of that is the issue of ending life. Some of that is an issue of honoring life in a way with respect and with love towards others. And so we're going to pick back up in verse 22. That's where we were yesterday. We looked at the first part of 22, but we're going to look at the second part today. So I'll read the first part and then the second part. So it says, "But I tell you, everyone who is angry with his brother or sister will be subject to judgment." And then the second part, "But whoever insults his brother or sister will be subject to the court. Whoever says, 'You fool,' will be subject to hellfire." This is interesting. It makes me think of a phrase that was said over and over and over again when I was in elementary school. "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." That's probably one of the biggest lies ever told in elementary school. We may say it and think that we even mean it, but the reality is, whether we show it or not, words hurt. Sometimes the words hurt almost as much, if not more, than physical pain. They really do, because they last with us. That's why Scripture says that the sword is a two-edged sword that cuts both coming and going. Our words cause pain. And so what Jesus is trying to express here is that those words cause pain and cause hurt, and at times are just as detrimental as murder. And we will be held accountable for the words that come out of our mouth. We are subject to judgment. Even though we may not have physically hurt someone, we can emotionally and spiritually and mentally hurt someone with our words. We are going to be subject to judgment. And unfortunately, throughout my time in the church, I've seen where a lot of times words are used to tear people down. I've seen passive aggressive moments of people where they passive aggressively slip some stuff in there to try and tear someone down. I've seen people very blatantly tear people down. We get emotional about our churches. We get emotional about the things that we're passionate about. And unfortunately, sometimes we allow that emotion to run rampant, and the first thing it comes out of is our mouth. And so if we're going to take this passage seriously, then we've got to take seriously the words that come out of our mouth. We've got to be sure, just like Paul wrote in Ephesians, that everything that comes out of our mouth is to build others up. Ephesians 4:29, you want to check that one out. Every word that we speak should build up the people around us. We should be speaking grace to them. That doesn't mean that we can't hold others accountable. It doesn't mean that we can't have tough conversations. We can do that, and we can do it, but we have to do it by speaking truth in love. You'll also find that in Ephesians chapter 4. We've got to speak truth in love. We've got to bear with one another and love on people. And be sure that we don't call names or tear people down, because the reality is, when we do end up doing that, tearing people down with our own words, it ends up being for our own selfish pleasure, just to build ourselves up. And if we take this passage that Jesus says seriously, then we've got to know that we are subject to judgment when we do that. So our author gives us a couple of questions so that we can look at. The first one is, why are careless and harmful words such a serious offense? Why is that such a big deal? And then the second, how does God want us to use our words? How would God prefer us to use our words? I hope you'll take a moment to work through those questions. I hope that today you'll take a moment just to examine your own life and to examine the words that come out of your mouth on a regular basis. I hope you'll take pause in conversations today that you get frustrated in, to be sure that you aren't tearing down the other person, but that you're building them up, that you're speaking truth in love. As you are working that out, as you're figuring out how to love on others with your words, we want you to know that we love you and we're praying for you.